Welcome to Fix It Home Improvement, covering projects that every homeowner should know and great products for home and garden.
Hi, I'm JC, and this is where we share weekly home improvement tips. I'm here with my co-host, Cindy.
Hello, JC.
Hi, Cindy. This week we're going to be talking about wall paneling, and we'd like to thank Farm Bureau Financial Services for including us in their list of their 6 favorite home improvement podcasts.
How many home improvement podcasts are there?
At least 6. Wood paneling became popular in the U.S. in the 1950s when plywood and other engineered wood was being developed into decorative sheets. The material was less expensive than solid wood and easier to install. Mass production of wall paneling reached its peak in the 1970s, with builders using it to cover walls in living rooms and basements. This week we ran to a few home centers in the Chicago area to check out what types of wall paneling is being stocked, and we saw 4-foot by 8-foot sheets of paneling that have the look of rustic wood planks or distressed wood in different shades of a color. Some sheets have the look of tile or stone or bricks, or the look of real wood with grain patterns, knots, and other imperfections. Most of the sheets were 3/16, an eighth, a quarter, or a half-inch thick, so pretty easy to work with. And the salespeople we spoke to said they have a much bigger selection online, and then you can have those shipped to the store.
Okay. What is paneling?
It's a decorative wall covering to change the look of a room. It can be large sheets up to 4 feet by 8 feet, small panels, planks, or kits with multiple pieces to give the look of paneling.
What are the different types of paneling?
Some common styles are beadboard, shiplap, tongue and groove, board and batten, raised panel, flat panel, and 3D. Beadboard has spaced grooves, and it comes in boards and panels. It's usually mounted so the grooves are vertical. Shiplap is another style with grooves that are usually run horizontally. Panels give the look of overlapping boards, or you can get boards with an overlapping joint.
Okay.
Board and batten paneling has raised vertical sections an inch or 2 wide and spaced 6 or more inches apart. Tongue and groove boards are like shiplap, but they connect with a tongue and groove joint, creating a groove. And these can be installed vertically, horizontally, or diagonally. Raised panel paneling has a series of square or rectangular grooves that create the look of a raised section in the middle. Flat paneling is sheets of smooth material that butts together without a groove. 3D or geometric paneling comes in a range of designs with raised decorative shapes. There are waves, lines, hexagons, triangles, rectangles, and abstract patterns. And you should look up 3D wall paneling online and click on the Images tab to see the variety. Many of these are great for an accent wall.
Cool. What is wainscoting?
Wainscot can be pronounced a couple of different ways. The Chicago way of pronouncing it is wainscot.
Okay, that's not what I asked, but good to know. What is it?
So it's paneling that just covers the lower part of a wall. The most common height is 1/3 of the height of the wall. So for an 8-foot wall, which is 96 inches, you would divide that height by 3, so 32 inches tall is pretty common.
Mm-hmm.
The paneling will have a chair rail molding to finish it off on top. And I was looking at a couple of carpenters' blogs, and a few of the carpenters said they prefer wainscot a few inches shorter than the standard 32 inches. They say visually for them it looks better.
Okay. What material is paneling made from?
Wood, plywood, and other engineered wood like MDF is popular.
What do you mean by engineered wood?
It's layers of wood or particles or fibers of wood that are glued together to make a board or a panel.
Okay.
Wood paneling is durable and it can be painted or stained. With engineered panels, you need to check if it can be stained or painted. HDPE paneling is durable, impact resistant, and it's very lightweight. HDPE stands for high density polyethylene plastic. There's also PVC, resin, and polyurethane paneling.
Okay. Where can you put up paneling?
Most paneling can be put directly over drywall walls or ceilings and plaster walls. Thicker panels can be attached to studs or furring strips. To cover concrete, brick, or masonry walls, you can use furring strips. And if there's any chance of moisture, you should add a moisture barrier.
Okay.
If you're finishing a basement over concrete walls, you can create a partition wall and attach panels to that. And you can check out our episode called Basement Insulation for some insulating tips.
What are furring strips?
These are thin boards, usually run vertically, used to level the wall or raise the paneling off a surface like concrete or plaster. 1 inch by 2 inch and 1 inch by 3 inch boards are popular sizes for furring strips.
Okay. How do you install paneling?
I reviewed the installation instructions for a couple of different types of paneling to see the difference.
Very exciting.
Georgia Pacific has panels called ply bead, which is a pine plywood panel 4 feet by 8 feet by 11/32. It's unfinished, and these can be painted with an acrylic latex paint. These have a shiplap edge.
What's that?
Half the thickness is cut away along the edge from the top on one end, and half the thickness is cut away from the bottom on the other end. So the edges overlap, and they create a good fit to cover the seam, and they want the edges a 1/16 of an inch apart for expansion. The shiplap edge creates a groove to match the rest of the panel. Georgia Pacific recommends stacking the plywood sheets with spacers between the sheets in the room where it's going to be installed for at least 48 hours to acclimate the panels before you install them.
So like you have to do when installing wood flooring?
Right. The panels can be installed over wall or ceiling studs, 1 by 2 furring strips, or drywall. All the panel ends and edges have to be supported by studs, joists, blocking, furring strips, or nailable backing, not just drywall. They recommend a 4 mil polyethylene vapor barrier below grade and over a masonry wall. Use a hand saw with a cross-cut blade with the face up, or a circular saw with a cross-cut blade with the panel face down. You want the teeth cutting through the face to the back for a smoother finish.
Okay.
And then you can use a file or sandpaper to smooth that cut edge.
Mm-hmm.
You want to leave a 1/4 inch gap at the top and the bottom of the wall, and an 1/8 inch gap at the corners and around window and door openings, and then you're going to cover those gaps with molding to allow for expansion and contraction.
Okay.
Use 6D casing, finishing, or ring shank paneling nails and drive them flush, or use a nail set to set them slightly below the surface. You want to place the nails 6 inches apart on the edges and 12 inches apart in the field.
Okay.
I looked at Yucatile beadboard panels that are 4 feet by 8 feet made out of HDF, and these come in a couple different thicknesses. They say the 1/8 inch panels should only be installed on solid walls above grade. The 3/16 inch panels or thicker can be installed on solid walls, studs, or furring strips above or below grade. For the 3/16 inch panels or thinner, they say do not use nails. For 7/32 and thicker, you can use nails or adhesive. But read and follow the installation instructions for the paneling you're using. There is a lot of detail, so you definitely want to read the instructions.
First.
Right? Yeah, helps.
Mm-hmm. What does below grade mean?
Below ground level, so a basement. Above grade is above ground level. So
Okay.
the first floor and higher.
Gotcha. What is a finishing nail?
It's a nail with a very small head. It's designed to be driven just below the surface of the wood with a nail set. A nail set is a thin metal rod that you tap with a hammer so you can drive the nail below the surface of the wood. Then you would cover that nail head with wood putty or some type of filler.
Okay, great. Back to the installing paneling.
Akena Millwork has PVC wainscot wall panel kits that come with a chair rail, a top rail, stiles, baseboard, and trim. And Akena is EKENA. And these individual pieces are glued and nailed to the wall to create a shiplap panel wainscot look.
Okay.
They're 96 inches by 32 inches and 5/8 of an inch thick. They recommend allowing the pieces to acclimate 48 hours in the room where they're going to be installed and paint the pieces with acrylic latex paint before attaching them to the wall. For a kit like this, you apply construction adhesive to the back of the pieces, then you secure them in place with finishing nails. You would use painter's caulk to cover any gaps or spaces, and then you would paint over the caulk.
Okay.
The company Wall Supply has panels that look like weathered brick, stone, wood, or concrete, and Wall Supply has an exclamation mark between the wall and the supply, so it's
Cool.
WALL exclamation point SUPPLY. And these panels are made out of lightweight EPS, which is a plastic foam material. The panels are roughly 5/8 of an inch thick, 2 feet wide, and 4 feet long. They have an impact-resistant layer, and they're sound-deadening and insulating. This type of panel can't be placed next to a heat source like a wood stove or ductwork where temperatures could get above 120 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay.
The surface you're applying it to needs to be solid, flat, and clean. They recommend using Loctite Power Grab Ultimate Construction Adhesive to hold the panels in place. Apply it to the back of the panel in beads lengthwise, keeping the beads 6 inches from the edge. The panels can be cut with a fine-tooth handsaw or a utility knife. You just press the panel in place, adjust it by hand, and you would start from the bottom and work up, and then continually check that the panels are staying uniform with a level.
Okay. So it's important to read the installation instructions.
Yeah, especially if you're installing panels below grade. Some products aren't recommended for below grade or over a masonry wall. And I love reading the instructions. It's a great guide to the steps and tools required for the project.
Mm-hmm.
For a wall where you've removed wallpaper or paneling, wood or engineered wood panels can give you a better finished look because they can cover up a wall that's not perfectly smooth.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a perfectly smooth wall, the lightweight foam and plastic panels can be easier to put up.
Okay. What are some top-rated construction adhesives?
Loctite, and that's Loctite, Liquid Nails, Gorilla, Red Devil, and DAP.
And DAP is spelled?
DAP.
Thank you. What tools would you need to install paneling?
So some common tools are a drill, a jigsaw, a circular saw, a caulk gun, a level, a hammer, a handsaw, a wood rasp, sandpaper, a stud finder, and a utility knife.
Great.
And if you're using a drill, some top-rated drills come from Milwaukee, DeWalt, and Ryobi. Some top-rated circular saws come from Skill, Makita, and Milwaukee. And some top-rated stud finders come from Zircon, that's Zircon, and Franklin Sensor. Franklin is Franklin.
If you are cutting paneling, is the paneling dust dangerous?
Yeah, wood dust is classified as a human carcinogen by the International Agency for Research on Cancer. Engineered wood dust can also contain formaldehyde and other cancer-causing compounds, which can increase your cancer risk. So always wear an N95 or higher mask when cutting wood products. Some top-rated N95 masks are from 3M, Milwaukee, and Soft Seal.
Okay. How do you remove paneling?
Put down a drop cloth to protect your flooring. Remove molding that's over the paneling with a pull and pry bar. Remove your switch and outlet covers. Turn off the electric to the circuit if you're going to be prying around the outlets or switches. Use a hammer and a pry bar to pry up an edge of the panel in a corner or a gap between the panels or along the bottom edge. Work on one area of the panel to see if it's held in place with nails or nails and glue. If it's just nails, it's pretty easy to remove one panel at a time by pulling and flexing the panel. But be careful how you grab the paneling. You don't want to grab a nail, which I know from experience. And if the panels are held in place with nails and an adhesive,
move.
It's easier to remove with two people. You can pry up an edge and then have one person pull on the panel while the other person works a pry bar under the panel. Or you can have both people grab it and pull it from the wall from the top and the bottom. It's not too difficult if there's not a lot of adhesive. When you're removing panels, wear eye protection, gloves, and a dust mask. If the panels had adhesive, you're going to have to scrape it off the drywall with a stiff putty knife. A heat gun can help soften some adhesives. Make sure you have good ventilation and wear a paint respirator to help reduce breathing in any fumes from the adhesive.
Okay.
Some top-rated safety goggles are from Klein Tools, DeWalt, 3M, and Pyramex, and that's Pyramex.
How long does paneling last?
Solid wood and engineered wood paneling can last as long as you own your home, especially if you maintain humidity levels 30 to 50% and keep it protected from direct sunlight. If you're in an area with excessive humidity or very dry conditions, it can cause the wood to expand and contract, which damages the panels over time.
Okay. Are there warranties on paneling?
Quite a few of the wall paneling I looked at from the home centers had a 90-day warranty from the retailer. When I was looking up the specifications online, a bunch of the manufacturers had NA or none for the warranty information, but a few had limited warranties against manufacturers' defects ranging from 1 year, 2 year, 15 years, and 25 years.
Okay. How do you clean paneling?
For most paneling, you would dust it routinely, then vacuum grooves and seams with the brush attachment. A damp cloth can be used on most surfaces, and like most walls, they don't need a lot of care to maintain them.
That's good.
On PVC panels, routinely use a microfiber cloth on areas around a window or door or areas that have high traffic. For panels that get touched a lot or they're in a high traffic area like a kitchen, a damp rag is going to remove most dirt. If the dirt is difficult to remove, you can add a couple of drops of a mild detergent in warm water and then dip a cloth into the solution, wringing it out so it's only damp, and then use that to clean the panels.
Okay. Can you repair paneling?
For wood panels, you can use wood filler or wood putty and then stain or paint it, or you can find a matching colored putty. Some laminate or veneer paneling have touch-up kits that you can purchase.
Okay. What about covering switches and outlets with paneling?
When you're adding a layer of material to an existing wall, you should add an electrical box extender for safety. You want the electrical boxes to be flush with the finished wall so you don't have a gap. A box extender will prevent the paneling from catching on fire in case of sparks or arcing inside the box.
What does it look like?
So the most common style is a plastic tapered box without a front or back. After you finish your paneling, you would remove the switches and outlets from the boxes, and you can leave them wired. You're going to turn them so you can insert the box extender into the electrical box. The tabs on the extender are going to keep the box flush to the surface. Then you can screw in your devices. And when you're doing a project like this, always turn off the electric to any circuit you're working on to prevent a shock hazard. A shock under certain conditions can be deadly.
Right. What are some top-rated paneling companies?
Georgia Pacific, Eucatile, it's Eucatile, Ekena Millwork, and that's Ekena, Wall Supply, it's WALLSUPPLY. So their website is wallsupply.com, but on all their marketing, it's wall, ! Supply.
Fun.
Art 3D wall panels, it's ART, the number 3, and a small case D, and DPI, which stands for Decorative Panels International.
Do you have anything else to add?
If you're putting paneling in a kitchen, there are fire-resistant panels. For a bathroom, there are panels that are moisture, mold, and mildew-resistant. And if you have an entertainment room, there are sound-reducing panels. When you're shopping for paneling, look online first. Home centers are going to have a limited supply in the store, but you're going to have more options online.
Cool. Let's wrap this up.
You can subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast app.
If you enjoyed it, please leave us a review.
You can check out our home improvement videos on our YouTube channel, Fix It Home Improvement.
And you can subscribe to that as well.
You can download our ebooks, Home Improvement Solutions, What Every Homeowner Should Know, books 1 through 19 on Amazon.
If you enjoyed it, please leave us a 5-star rating and review.
You can email us at fixitpodcast@gmail.com, and you can follow us on Instagram, Fix It Home Improvement.
Thank you for listening.
Talk to you next week.